Hey, welcome into the Week 8 NWGA Football Al Smith Alpha Insurance High School Football Scoreboard, joined by Brooks Carter tonight. Brooks, how's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Looked like we had some several tight games tonight. Some interesting games for sure, but a lot of stakes at hand from region play. I did see that one. That's a massive score. um, but had a state championship rematch game that looked like it went really down to the wire. Had a couple of games that had some comebacks in the second half. So all around looked like it was pretty good Friday night of action.
Yeah, we'll run through the scores here in a minute. But if you want to join us live, you can join us on X or Facebook, anywhere you can find us and join in the conversation. We'll get your comments live on the air. And before we get started, I just want to say a quick apology to the Heard County fans, man. I know I've caught some beef on air already tonight. I picked Temple this week on the Pick'em Show. Heard County came out a big win tonight, 31-14. Hats off to the Braves.
I think I picked Temple too. I'm trying to remember what I sent you. I think I picked Temple because I've just been rolling with them all year to break their school record for wins. So I just got to stick with my preseason prediction.
All right. You can talk them through it right quick. I got to revamp these slides right quick. I thought they auto updated, but I guess not. What a game! Tell us about the game you were at.
Well, obviously, if anybody that's familiar with with my role, I'm the director of media for Cahola Creek. So I was at the Cahola Creek LFL game tonight, and I would like to give a big shout out to Mac Bryan and their coaching staff. Man, second game in 5 days didn't seem to bother them. They had to play Monday night because of the issues with Hurricane Helene. But this team is kind of what I would say is the most equivalent to like an air raid offense. And they came out with a balanced attack tonight, ran the football, and it totally caught. By the time our guys started making adjustments to it, they were up 21-0 at halftime. They had a big second quarter. It was scoreless at the end of the first. They hung 3 touchdowns with an explosive offense in the third quarter. And we made it interesting in the fourth quarter. Got within a couple of scores. It was 27-13, and we had the football down inside their territory, trying to draw within a touchdown in the fourth quarter, but failed on fourth down. And then they took the ball down the field and scored and kind of knockout blow. But hey, that team, they might have found something in their run game tonight. They've been throwing the football a ton all year. They got some pretty good looking running backs. I think they might have found something with their running game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them be a lot more balanced throughout the rest of the year. Trey Lewis and what was the guy's name? Trey Lewis and Joseph Brown were the guys that were the standouts tonight for LFO. But I always like to give the other team shout out if they had a good game. So,
all right, we'll run through these scores right quick for everybody. Few that we don't have. Carrollton, I know, beat Westlake 63-20 something. I think they were up 35-7 at halftime. Hillgrove 42-3 over Paulding County. North Paulding beat Etowah 34-17. East Paulding bounced back with a big win, 59-14 over Lithia Springs. Close one here. Rome 28, Villarica 13. I think Villarica had a 13-7 lead at one time in the second quarter. New Manchester was up 39-0 over South Paulding late. Central and Stars Mill, man, another classic. Stars Mill pulling it out 38-35. Cartersville beats Cass 38-7. Cedartown 56-20 over Hiram. Alatoona and 17-0 over Woodland. Gilmer, here's a surprise. Gilmer 28-20 over Heritage. I didn't see that one coming, I'll admit. Northwest Whitfield rebounds with a 48-21 win over Lafayette. I think Northwest Whitfield was leading that one 48-7 at halftime. LFO 34-13 over Coahulla. North Cobb Christian with a 49-6 win over Murray County. North Murray hangs on to beat Sonoraville 26-24. Ringgold shutting out Union County 31-0. Pepperell 45-35 over Bremen 45-35 over Pepperell. Model 14-6 over Haralson County. Heard County, game we talked about at the top of the show, stays undefeated in Region 6A with a 31-14 win over Temple. Coosa scores late to beat Armurchie 19-14. Fannin County 35-7 over Chattooga. Christian Heritage hangs on to beat Gordon Central 28-20. Gordon Lee shuts out Dade County 19-0. Classic game here, man. I have a feeling this might not be the last time they play this year. Manchester 28, Bowden 20. Tryon shuts out Mount Zion 44-0. Calhoun 41-7 over Ridgeland. And Dawson County with a huge win, 71-0 over Johnson. Is there anything that jumps out to you on that?
Yeah, sure. A few things. North Cobb Christian, obviously I figured they would handle Murray County tonight, but Rockmart on a bye this week. That sets up a massive Region 7 2A matchup next week. I think winner of that probably, I believe that game's probably for the region championship next week. So that's a massive game with North Cobb Christian traveling to Rockmart. I mean, obviously the state championship rematch with Bowden and Manchester. Man, that's two really good football teams, and you hate to see one team lose that. But you know, I think you're right. I think we could see them down the road playing each other again. You hope it's not in like the third round, and from a weird matchup. You hope it's not one of those deals where these could be the two best teams in that classification. I hope if they meet back up, I hope it's where it needs to be, maybe down in Mercedes-Benz.
That has to be the one thing I like. That has to be the one thing I like about the power rankings this year. You know, there's a lot of things you can say against them, but I think the power rankings in the higher classifications is setting up for the 1 and 2 to meet in the bins, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, I hope that's the case for sure. Few projections where you could have a couple of region teams meeting in the second or third round. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I think, at least in the old format, it protected that from happening because usually they put all 4 region teams in separate pods, in all 4 different pods. So if you knew they were never going to meet each other until potentially a semifinal matchup. So, I guess Ben thought Gordon Central kept it closer. What was his?
Yeah. The final was 28-20, man. Pretty impressive a game for the Warriors there at home. I know they were about 20-point underdogs going in. And what's going on, Chris?
Lawrence, how you doing?
What's going on, man? You got me?
Hey, can you hear me? All right.
You got us?
How you guys doing tonight? For some reason, I can't hear you on my phone. I was down watching North Murray and Sonoraville. I thought I'd stop and tell you guys everything I saw down there. So
go ahead.
I don't know why I can't hear you. But anyway, do you want me to go ahead and
yeah, go ahead.
All right.
You got it.
So North Murray, Sonoraville. They haven't played down there in a while. I went down there. I always like watching a football game down there. North Murray come away with that win, 26-24. Leighton Myers had a phenomenal game for North Murray. He had the winning touchdown there right at the end of the game after North Murray forced a turnover. 2 minutes left inside the red zone, Sonoraville red zone. They punched it in. Myers punched it in with his second touchdown. North Murray went up 26-24 there. Chaz Pate was driving the ball down the field, and Sonoraville just ran out of time. So they ran out of time. North Murray come away with the win. I will say that Jaden Cruz, running back for Sonoraville, he had 3 touchdowns tonight. That kid was something else. He was fun to watch. He had a heck of a game. So it was an enjoyable evening. And a big shout out to Dwayne and the rest of the chain gang down there for Sonoraville. They did a heck of a job. I talked to those guys a couple times tonight. It's good to see all the fans. They love Northwest Georgia football too. So Dwayne's a huge fan of Northwest Georgia football. So shout out to him and those guys. So I'm going to jump off here. For some reason I can't hear the show, and I'm going to listen to the show. So as I make the rest of the way back home. But it was good seeing you guys. I have to after that, you have to tell me where Benton was tonight. So I didn't keep up with all the other scores, but I had a good time tonight, and I will hopefully tune in to you guys on Tuesday. I know I got some work stuff going on, but I want to tune in to you guys on Tuesday for the Pick'em show. So that was me. That's from Sonoraville, North Murray 26, Sonoraville 24. And I will talk to you guys later.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that Jaden Cruz guy he's talking about, I saw him a couple of weeks ago. He's kind of that little smaller stature, scat back. He went for about over 100 on the ground and had several, probably 50 plus through the air receiving. When I saw him, when we played him a few weeks ago, that's good looking running back. He can do a little bit of everything.
Carter Clay wants to know what we thought about Woodstock and Pope. Well, what was the final score? Like I said, they're kind of 2 teams that we don't follow real closely here in this area. But I did do some research this week on Woodstock and was surprised at what kind of turnaround they've had since last year. Scott Herbst said Ringgold held Union County to 82 yards offense. Union was playing their second game in Catoosa County in 5 days, which I'm sure didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long – that would have been hard regardless, I think. Back-to-back, doing that on back-to-back Fridays, doing it twice in 1 week, man, that's hard. They got kind of the crap end of the deal, especially with the hurricane. Because, I mean, they're really the only team in Region 7-2A that was legitimately affected by any sort of flooding issues or whatever, being up in Northeast Georgia on the mountain. They're not far proximity-wise to kind of what's going on up in Western North Carolina right now. And, yeah, that was I didn't have a great feeling that Union County would perform well tonight, considering they were having to get back on the bus for a 2+ hour road trip for the second time in 5 days.
Yeah, Carter said Woodstock upset Pope. I think if I'm not mistaken, Woodstock is 6-1 this year, maybe after ending 23-2-8.
I think I saw some notes on them in the Georgia High School Football Daily newsletter. Let me do a quick little. We don't dabble into Cherokee. In the Cherokee County too much. I know you've gotten some requests, Lawrence, but yeah. So they are 6-1 after win tonight. Only losses against River Ridge. That puts them at 3-1 in region play. They beat Lassiter, Creekview, and Pope all in consecutive weeks. A lot of teams that we played at points throughout the 2000s when I was at Northwest Whitfield. I think Lassiter, Creekview, Pope, Sequoia, Sprayberry, all these teams in their region, we used to play all of them at some point in region play in the 2000s, whether it be when we got stuck in 5A, what used to be the highest classification, or I know Woodstock used to be in our region when I was at Northwest back in early 2000s. I know they had, I don't know if they still have this. They used to have this cool I've been to a game at Woodstock. They had this cool, like, little, almost like barn looking deal that they ran out of. It was like a big barn looking shed with like sheet metal doors on the front. And they bang on it, and they called it the woodshed.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
What's
that
going
was
on?
early 2000s. So I don't know if that's still what they do down there or not.
How's it going, Mr. Burge?
Hey, you got a copy?
Got you, man. You got us?
Yeah. Very interesting one tonight over in Fannin County. Can you hear me good?
Yep, we got you good.
All right. To start the game, Fannin takes the ball first and has runs a few plays, gets a couple first downs, gets a penalty that backs him up. Stuka ends up getting a stop. And be honest with you, kind of walks it down the field, ends up in the end zone on the first drive, 7-0 Chattooga. And we're thinking, the Indians may be on to something. And after that, they were probably inside the 10-yard line about 5 or 6 different occasions, and just couldn't punch it in. Credit Fannin County for the defense, and Fannin County offense got warmed up a little more in the second and third quarters, and final ended up being 35-7. You got to put in the end zone. You can't play between the 20s. I think Stuga Stud running back was up over 200 yards pretty easily and had 0 touchdowns. So kept him off the scoreboard tonight.
Yeah.
First team that's done that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had some yards last week and not as many as he had this week, but he just couldn't get it across the goal line this week. It was like 4th and 1, 4th and 2. They had 5 or 6 stops there on short yardage, and like I said, credit Chad Cheatham and the Rebels making the plays.
Yeah. Scott Herp said Culver Union had 2 more interceptions tonight for Ringgold. He's got 8 on the season.
Man,
that's crazy. That's a huge number.
Yeah, he had 3 that first week at Dade when we saw him up there. One of them laying on his back.
I saw that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you who the Indians had next.
Christian Heritage.
Next week, Christian Heritage is coming to Somerville next week. Speaking of Christian Heritage, I saw, Gordon Central played a heck of a game against Christian Heritage tonight. An 8-point game, 28-20.
Yep, 28-20 final.
It sounds like a heck of a game. And then, Gordon Lee stays hot, goes over to Magic Morgan and gets a win by about 3 scores. I think Gordon Lee is one of those teams that could be dangerous. I'm interested to see that Gordon Lee Fannin matchup here in a few weeks. Could be interesting.
Yeah, we'll run through the scores right quick for everybody who joined us late, and we will recap all these Cowboys. Carrollton beat Westlake. Hillgrove 42-3 over Paulding County. North Paulding 34-17 over Etowah. East Paulding 59-14 over Lithia Springs. Rome beats Villarica 28-13. New Manchester 39, South Paulding 0. Stars Mill 38-35 over Central. Cartersville 38-7 over Cass. Cedartown 56-20 over Hiram. Allatoona shuts out Woodland 17-0. Gilmer 28-20 over Heritage. Northwest Whitfield 48, Lafayette 21. LFO 34, Cahulla Creek 13. North Cobb Christian 49, Murray County 6. North Murray hangs on to beat Sonoraville 26-24. Ringgold 31-0 over Union County. Bremen 45-35 over Pepperell. Model beats Haralson County 14-6. Heard County 31, Temple 14. Coosa 19-14 over Armurchie. Fannin County 35-7 over Chattooga. Christian Heritage 28-20 over Gordon Central. Gordon Lee shuts out Dade 19-0. Manchester 28-20 over Bowden. Trine shuts out Mount Zion 44-0. Calhoun 41-7 over Ridgeland. And Dawson County with the big 71-0 win over Johnson. I'll tell you the one thing that stood out to me as I was reading those scores, I paused for a second, was Pepperell. Scott did our little stats this week. Pepperell is 3 possessions away from being 3-3 on the year. And they have another close game tonight, man. So I think they're 0-7 right now. And they're probably 22 points away from being 4-3, 5-2.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too as I was looking through. I was thinking about we've got a handful of winless teams left in our area of the 53 teams that we cover. Trying to think of them, rack them off the top of my head. Pepperell is among those. Cahola Creek, Lafayette. I think that might be the.
Was the win tonight for Dawson County their first win, or did they have one earlier in the season?
Let me double check real quick. I felt like they may have had one, but and if it wasn't, boy, that's a big one to break through on, right? I mean, no, they beat Banks County earlier this year, 14-7. So Southeast Whitfield is winless. That's another one. Dalton hasn't won this year. That's another one. So 5 teams. That might be, if I'm missing one, somebody can comment. But which of those 5 teams do you think breaks through first between Dalton, Lafayette, Cahola Creek, Pepperell, and Southeast Whitfield?
You would have to think Pepperell has the best shot. I don't know if they've played Haralson County yet. I mean, not that Haralson County is a bad team, because Haralson County's played everybody tough, but I know they have Model coming up, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly win.
I think Dalton's best chance is probably against Woodland. They still have them left. Cahola Creek has Murray County next week. That is a winnable game for them for sure. I would expect that to be a pretty tight contest. Both of those teams. Murray County's only win was against Southeast Whitfield. I think Southeast Whitfield might actually win a game this year. I think it's going to be their last game of the season. They're playing against Grace Baptist out of Chattanooga, and that's a team that just moved up to 11-man football from playing 8-man football. So,
I guess before we wrap the show up, man, we'll go through the regions and we'll give our prognostication now that we've seen a few games. Got a few games under our belt. 7 AAA. Who do you like in that one?
7 AAA. Probably GAC at this point. I mean, they beat Lumpkin. And that was my preseason pick. They started out a little slow this year. I think after that Lumpkin win, I would expect them to continue to keep things going in that region.
I guess the 6 AAA region is the Calhoun region, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Yeah. So I guess the question there is, who do you think finishes second? As our friend Jake Keller said last week, Calhoun's about to run through the schedule like poop through a goose. First time I'd ever heard that expression.
Or to quote Nick Saban, have you ever heard the Nick Saban quote talking about the Georgia Southern game? Like crap through a tin horn. I don't even, except he said he didn't say crap. So, no, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Northwest Whitfield has the talent. I think it's going to be them or Adairsville. And I think the winner of that game is going to finish second in that region. I don't know.
I think that loss tonight by Heritage at Gilmer kind of threw a wrench into the whole thing, you know?
I think Northwest Whitfield just has a weird matchup problem with Heritage for some reason. I think they just have their number. I mean, like I said last week, Heritage has beat them 6 out of the last 8 years, 3 times in a row. I don't think that's a game Northwest Whitfield should have dropped, but it's just this kind of weird team that has their number. I still think Northwest Whitfield, they have Ridgeland left. They should beat them. And then outside of that, I think it's Adairsville. And I can't remember who the other team they play is, but they should finish 8-2 at a minimum. that would include. Or sorry, they have Calhoun. Yeah, sorry, they should finish 7-3 or 8-2. But that would be who I would think would finish second in that region.
Scott Herb said Grace Baptist of Chattanooga is a really solid football team, 4-1 going into tonight. Said that won't be an easy win for Southeast Whitfield.
Maybe they've transitioned from 8-man football to 11-man football better than I had thought. I covered football, high school football in Chattanooga for a long time. Historically, Grace Baptist was not that great of a football program. So kudos to them if they're off to a 4-1 start this year.
Yeah. What about 7-2A? I think we pretty much know what's coming down to that game next weekend. North Cobb Christian, Rockmart for the 1 and 2. Penciling the Ringo Tigers at 3. How about 4th in that region?
I think 4th is going to be interesting. I think North Murray took a big step towards that tonight with coming from behind to beat Sonorville and Union County dropping a game at Ringgold. Union County was 3-1 in region play coming into tonight, as well as North Murray, if I'm not mistaken, was 3-1. North Murray still got, I think, Rockmart and North Cobb Christian left. I'm going to pull up their schedule real quick. So listen to the gauntlet that North Murray has left after Sonorville tonight, how they finish out the season. Bye weeks are done. They finish with Ringgold, North Cobb Christian at Rockmart 3 out of the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's not good.
So their schedule gets tough. I mean, they're 4-2 and they're 3-1 in region play, but their toughest games are all in front of them. So, they control their destiny, but it's a pretty tough road ahead. I like them at 4, but I don't know. Their schedule's pretty tough.
Yeah, I'll say too, man. There's been some debate on this show over the last few weeks about which teams qualify for the playoffs. Is it just the one? Then it goes to power rankings. But I can confirm that the top 4 teams in each region qualify for the playoffs. It's seeded based on power rankings after the 1. But if you finish in the top 4, you qualify.
Well, in the latest projections, the Region 7-2A has 6 teams getting in. 5 in the 2A bracket, and then the North Cobb Christian in the private school bracket. So,
all right. What about 6A? I guess Hurd County made a big step tonight, to put themselves in the driver's seat. They have a big game next Friday night here in Rome against Darlington. I think they're both undefeated in 6A.
Yeah, Hurd's athletic. They're gritty. I think they've got that perfect combination of athleticism as well as kind of smash mouth. I would go. I know we're not on the Pick'em show at this point, but I would go out on a limb and say I like Hurd County in that game versus Darlington. And I would give Hurd County the leg up at this point. I think second and third will come down to Darlington and Temple.
Yeah, and you pencil in Bremen there at probably number 4. 7A. I mean, looking like Christian Heritage Fannin for the region title.
Yeah, if Christian Heritage can get past Chattooga next week, which that's no easy task, going over there to play. I've made that trip over there each of the last 2 years from Dalton. That's not an easy road trip over there. It's about an hour drive over into Somerville, and especially if Chattooga gets it going, man. You'll have to ask Benton about the PA announcer over at Chattooga. If you're of the away team, you will find him a bit obnoxious. If you're the home team, you will love him. And he adds to the atmosphere there, man. Like it's a tough place to go play. They've got the pyrotechnics and everything going on the way that the big colleges do when they score now. If Christian Heritage can go handle business over there, they're on a bye week after that going into the Fannin game. So I think it's going to be interesting. If they can get past Chattooga, then their schedule sets up. Back at home, they'll have Fannin after 3 straight road games. But that's no layup going on the road against Chattooga next week. I think Lawrence might have just frozen up. Yeah, he definitely froze up. Yeah, and I don't he's the admin on the show, so elsewhere in that region though, I think it's going to be really competitive down to the finish though when you look at Dade's really interesting. I think we expected a little more out of them, but I think they're a tough-nosed team that can still finish the season really well. Gordon Lee's been on a tear recently. I think they've cemented themselves for sure as at least top 3 in that region. I don't know if Christian Heritage is – I think that – did they beat Christian Heritage? I'm trying to remember. Let me look it up real quick. Maybe Lawrence will be able to get back on here in a second. But I think that's going to be one of the most interesting, entertaining regions here coming down the stretch is that 7 single A. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Gordon Lee did lose to Christian Heritage, but they continue to win here down the stretch. But I think those 3 teams have separated themselves. And I would throw Chattooga in there too. I think those 4 teams have separated themselves. Unfortunately, Dade probably the 5th best team in the region, but I don't. They've kind of had some unfortunate results here. I think they're sitting here 2-5 after through their first 7 games. Trying to think if there's any more. I guess 4A. 7 4A, which is Cartersville and Cedartown. We're just waiting for that matchup here in a few weeks as they continue to steam roll through their schedules. They're both still unbeaten. I think 7-0 at this point after tonight's wins. That game's coming up on in 2 weeks from tonight. Cedartown plays at Dalton next week. I would expect them to handle that game. Dalton hasn't won a game this year. Cartersville plays let's see. Cartersville plays at Allatoona next week. Allatoona did beat Woodland tonight, but still they're 4-3, so they're not a bad team, but I don't expect them to get anywhere close to Cartersville next week. So I think we're going to have winner take all in that region. But behind that, I think Cass is super interesting because of all the injuries they've had. Their season has really kind of gone on a tailspin. They're sitting here at 4-4 going into their final 2 games. They got a bye week coming up next week. They've got winnable games to finish the season with Dalton and Allatoona. And I wouldn't count out Hiram either. I think Hiram has played well enough at times this year. I think there's a possibility you can get at least 4 teams into the playoffs for sure out of that region. I think that's all they're going to get in the playoffs, though. I don't think anybody else is getting in between Dalton, Woodland, and Allatoona. I think it's going to be – I think Cass and Hiram still get in the playoffs. Well, I guess they all do, yeah, because they're not the power ranking. I forget this every week. 4A doesn't have the power ranking, so it's the top 4 that get in. I don't know. I usually just kind of – I don't handle the admin stuff on this show. So I don't know what happened with Lawrence's internet. But I can see some comments here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Lawrence's internet, but I might go ahead and hop off here. I don't know if that'll end the stream or not, but thanks for tuning in, guys, to our Friday night scoreboard show presented by Al Smith Insurance, Alpha Insurance. Al Smith does a lot of great stuff. He sponsors several Player of the Weeks for local programs in Northwest Georgia as well. So give him a call if you are in need of any type of insurance, homeowners insurance, car insurance, any of that stuff. So, we've got somebody popping on audio only.
Hey, man.
I don't know what happened to Lawrence. He froze up and dropped off.
Yeah, I'm driving down the road, so I'm no help neither. But I would just say, we'll be back for the Pick'em show, and I'll cut her off if you want to hang it up.
I don't know how to do that, so
yeah, I got you. I can do that.
Yeah, I've never had any of the admin stuff. Never handled any of the admin stuff on here, so I don't even know if I have the power to do that. So
I don't know if you do. I've never looked at the other side.
I think it's just you and Lawrence that have the power to shut the show down. So I'll go ahead and hop off and let you shut her down for the night. So we'll see y'all during the week this week on the Pick'em show.
All right, we'll see you, man.